Great British Manufacturing Podcast, brought to you by MTD, MFG and Jefferson.
Hello and welcome to this week's Great British Manufacturing Podcast. On this week's show, we will review the latest news from the British manufacturing sector and welcome a special guest, James Fudge, Head of Operations at the Manufacturing Technology Association, or the MTA. But before we start, I'd just like to mention a couple of the Factory Now members. New members are joining a platform every week which has been launched to help British manufacturers boost sales, collaborate and reshore. Members include System Store Solutions, the UK's leading specialist for warehouse and workshop design, and Arnold Rag, the Sheffield-based AS9100 approved fastener manufacturer. I'm Joe Reynolds, and as always, I'm joined by Stuart Whitehead. Stuart, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, Joe. And despite the summer holidays, we've got plenty of good news stories this week.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's get straight on with it. Magna, you're a huge company, Magna, and are opening yet another facility, this time Sunderland.
Yeah, great news for the North East again. So Canadian automotive components manufacturer Magna has officially opened its new factory in Sunderland. City leaders and senior officials from the firm attended an event this week to mark the occasion. The exterior trim parts for Nissan's third generation Qashqai produced at the facility, which houses a robotic assembly line. Magna has also introduced a fully assembled thermoplastic liftgate, a lightweight alternative to steel. Magna, as you say, huge company, headquartered in Ontario, 347 global plants, 87 other facilities across 28 countries, 12 of them in the UK. They employ well in excess of 150,000 people, including more than 2,000 in Britain. And 300 people will be employed at this new facility when at full capacity.
Fantastic news yet again for the North East. Next story, British Steel to invest 26 million at Skitting Grove plant.
Yeah, this is the single largest investment by the firm for more than 30 years in its special profiles business. The £26 million project will see new downstream processing at the Skitting Grove site. This is part of a wider £100 million investment announced earlier this year, designed to improve the steelmakers' manufacturing and environmental performance. The new service centre, which will include cut-to-length lines, product milling, machining, warehousing operations, will enable the company to make and process an extended range of value-added profiles for the forklift industry primarily. The advanced milling machinery capability will also mean that the company can offer profiles with world-leading tolerances of just 0.1 millimetres.
Brilliant stuff. And a week doesn't pass where we're not talking about electric vehicles or batteries or electrification. And this week, British consortium established to develop solid-state batteries. What do you know about this one?
Yeah, as you say, there's certainly a momentum with batteries and EV companies in the UK, which is great to see. So a consulting 7 UK-based organisations, they signed a memorandum of understanding to combine ambitions to develop world-leading prototype solid-state battery technology, targeting automotive applications. And for people who don't know, solid-state batteries offer significant potential advantages over conventional lithium-ion batteries and could be transformational in meeting the UK's net zero commitments through the electrification of transport. The group aims to harness and industrialise UK academic capability to produce cells using highly scalable manufacturing techniques that leapfrog the cost effectiveness and performance are achieved elsewhere. Companies, a lot of them will be well known to people. Companies include organisations British Volt, Faraday Institution, Johnson Matthey, and Oxford University.
Okay, Stuart, we'll take a pause from this week's positive UK manufacturing news. I'd like to introduce this week's special guest. It's no other than James Fudge, Head of Operations at the Manufacturing Technology Association, or the MTA. James, welcome.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. To start with, we always like to find out about the people on the podcast, not just the companies. So, tell us about, James Fudge, your current role and responsibilities and your career to date.
Sure. Well, I joined the MTA. It will be 10 years this November that I joined. I've worked in a number of roles. So I worked originally on the education and development side, so looking after our skills and grants and loans side of the business. I then moved on to events. And kind of as we've gone through time, different bits have been added to my role, as is often the way. So membership now sits underneath me, as well as quite a large percentage of our member services as well. So we have a technical and skills team who look after those two areas, and then kind of everything else falls under me.
Marvelous. Yeah. So you got a busy role day today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're a smaller team than we have been in the past, but we're still offering all the same services, and actually we've tried to enhance that over the last year and really add some more in to add value to our membership.
Fantastic. Now, if we can give us a brief overview of the Manufacturing Technology Association, or as I say, most people would know you as the MTA, it's fair to say. Just for people that don't know of you, who are you and what do you set out to achieve?
Sure. So we're an association that has just over 300 members, and we represent companies that cover all areas of that initial manufacturing. So it's that front end manufacturing technology. So that could be people that are working in subtractive manufacturing, whether that be metal cutting or any of the associated components, so work holding, tool holding. It could be companies that are producing tooling, metrology, software, which could be CAD/CAM or could be the more sort of I4 connected technologies and those enablers that we're seeing coming through. We're also the national body for additive manufacturing. So if you're talking about metal-based 3D printing, that falls squarely within our remit. And recently as well, we've expanded our community to include the users of that technology. So the Engineering Industries Alliance has become part of the MTA family, and we are expanding that community. So we've got that great touch point with some of the users as well. So it's really expanding who we have contact with and kind of who we represent as an industry. And to that end, we've got a number of services we offer. We run the UK's national exhibition, MAC, which I know we'll come on to in a minute. We offer, as I say, skills, grants and loans for people taking on apprentices and looking to grow their business and do training. We have a very well used market research with economics and statistical data. In terms of, we collect all the statistics for the UK and we feed that into Europe as well, so we get the European data back, and a forecast function that goes alongside that. We run a number of events. So for us, our whole reason for being is to help our members do more business. So the best way of doing that is running events and having face-to-face contact where people can come along and find something out, but also network with peers and meet other people. So that's quite a big area that we cover as well as all the sort of representation that we do to Westminster, and government contacts we have. So it's quite a broad remit for a small association, but one that is, invaluable to our members, or at least it aims to be.
Absolutely. Morning, James. Thanks for joining us. I was going to ask about services, but you kind of covered that. Why do people join the MTA, and what do they hope to achieve from being part of your membership?
As I say, it's for a number of reasons, really. So, certainly the statistical and market data that we collect is one of the top reasons. I think one of the other reasons is our technical function as well. So our technical department will sit on the bodies with British standards. So when there's standards that are coming into update, they come to industry to ask, are these correct? Are we putting the right things in, both at British standard and European level? So actually our function through that is really well utilised. And, we have a system whereby people can view British standards or get them at half price. So that's quite a big part of what we offer, and is probably one of the better used services. I think as well, because we've got this community and this contact with so many different companies, people do use us for our networking. So whether that's sending an e-shot out to our database through us, or whether that's attending events to meet other people. And again, like I say, our economic data is one of the key reasons that people join for, and is one of our better used services. And certainly our forecast, because we look at that by verticals as well. So we'll break that down into aerospace, automotive, medical, yellow goods, space, auto sport, all the different sectors that our members cover.
Oh, fantastic. And in terms of the membership profile, you touched on some of the industries. In terms of the size of the organisation, is it, a fair split between large OEMs, SMEs, or, if you can just give us an idea and an overview of the profile, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we really do have quite a large mix. So you can go, our smallest member probably has one or maybe even two employees, right up to big multinationals. I think if you look at kind of the membership profile in terms of size of business, you get a bell curve effect. So the middle tranche is this kind of SME, core SME market, where members are employing anywhere between, say, 40 to 100 people. And so that tends to be where we sit, because that, I guess, kind of reflects our industry within the UK.
Absolutely. And we touched on it before. MTA, you obviously organised the MAC exhibition. For people less familiar with the exhibition, if you wouldn't mind just giving us an overview of the event, typical exhibitors, and benefits of attending.
Sure. I mean, the show traces its roots back to 1912, and was actually the first edition of the exhibition held. Obviously, that's come quite a long way. We hold it every 2 years at the NEC, with the next one being the 4th to the 8th of April 2022. So we're in the middle of planning for that at the moment. And I think the thing that's really nice about it is that it enables us as an association to have touch points with more companies. So we have, whilst we have 300 companies in membership, it's just over 200 of those exhibit. But then there's an additional 400 companies each show. So we've instantly got a bigger database and a bigger community of 600 companies. And then you can look at that even wider and start going, well, we get 25,000 people through the door over the 5 days. And again, we've got that big community, and that for us is what it's all about. And I think that's the exciting thing is, the next time all of that community comes together, it's going to be the first gathering post-COVID, post-Brexit, at the UK's national show for manufacturing. And we're, I think, the only show where everyone has live machinery that is actually demonstrating and live cutting and live working at the show. And so for me, that's, it makes it quite exciting, because you suddenly bring all these people together. There's a lot of business done at the show. I mean, we attributed £200 million worth of business done over the 5 days of the last show. Not just with people selling directly off their stand, although that does happen, but with people coming and going, right, I'm going to build a contact database to last me for the next 2 years until the next show when that's all refreshed. And so they can actually meet the community. And I think as well, it's, that's what we've tried to achieve. We've upgraded a lot of our online systems, so you can now log in and create a profile as a visitor, and you can then make contact with exhibitors directly. So you can get in touch with an exhibitor beforehand and go, right, this is the problem I've got. You can send them drawings and have all those conversations front end, so that when you turn up at the show, those conversations are much tighter and you kind of know who you're going to see, and the types of conversations you have. And so, that's been really difficult, I guess, over the last 18 months, is trying to keep that feel and that spirit going. But like I say, we've tried doing that through some online platforms and just really enhancing what we offer.
Fantastic. And just on that, if people want to attend the event or people are interested in exhibiting, how would they get in contact with you, James?
So best thing to do is if you go to macexhibition.com, there is both a register now button, so you can register to visit, or if you're interested in finding out more about exhibiting, or the types of things that go on, then there's a contact us form on there as well.
Yeah, and I must say, we've worked with the MTA for the last, I don't know how many exhibitions now, and it is a fantastic exhibition, both to exhibit and obviously more importantly to go and have a good look round. It's probably fair to say you can't do it in one day, so do try and get down there for a couple of days and immerse yourself in the event. It's a fantastic event. But James, just moving on, what are your view on the challenges and opportunities for the UK's manufacturing sector in a post-pandemic world? I think things that we all agree things are starting to recover, but what opportunities are there out there and the challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just so much going on. I mean, this is one of the nice things with us being an association rather than a pure show organizer. And don't get me wrong, there are some great commercial show organizers out there, but if I talk about the association as such, we are run by a board. We have a committee that looks after the exhibition, so we don't go out and go, right, who do we talk to in industry that knows about these things? We are the industry, and so that gives us a really strong position to go, right, let's look at some thought leadership pieces, and let's look at the range of technologies we represent, as well as the different sizes of companies. And I think from that, there's a lot that comes out of it. I mean, there's a lot of buzzwords and hot topics, so things like I4 and all the associated terminology that goes along with it. But there are some really good opportunities, I think, for people looking to automate and do things within their business. I think there is a great amount to be done on the green agenda and decarbonisation. We'll certainly see that move up both our agenda, government agenda, but also our members' agenda. And it's actually starting to create new jobs. And I think that's the other thing is we're a really exciting sector, and we forget that sometimes. I think people that, we get so bogged down in the day-to-day running of things, we actually forget just how exciting it is. And there's so much going on constantly, both in terms of new technologies, and you've only got to start looking at the verticals we work in. I mean, as I say, I touched on things like automotive and aerospace earlier on. But you start looking at the UK space sector, you start looking at new technologies that are being brought in. So the electrification, for example, of vehicles, and I don't just mean cars, I'm talking marine, aerospace, and all the technologies that go along with that as well. There's lightweighting, so it could be things like carbon fiber, it could be things like additive. There's just so much going on. And I think what's exciting is it's not so much a shift in technology as a growth. So all those traditional methods and all the traditional technologies we've always used, we still need. But in addition to that, you start adding on all these other technologies. And I just think it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And just talking about Mac, it's a while away yet, but how do people find out more? And more important, how do they register to attend the event?
So they best going to macexhibition.com. There is a register now button, and there's also more information there in terms of looking to book. Or if people just want to contact us and find out more a little bit about either the association or the event, they're more than welcome to do so. We're not just going to pounce on people and try and sell them something. It's kind of, talk to us and we'll see what we can do to benefit all of us.
Sure. And just the final one, just remind us of the dates.
So it's the 4th to the 8th of April 2022, and that's up at the NEC in Birmingham.
Brilliant, James. Many thanks for coming on the podcast. Great to catch up as always, and we'll see you before Mac, but good luck on the build-up.
Thanks very much, and great to speak to you both.
Stu, another fascinating interview. They're quite something else, the MTA.
Yeah, they certainly are. Such a broad range of services they offer members, and certainly recommend anybody to look at the Mac exhibition in next April.
Certainly. We always talk about news on this show, but for people who haven't already, please download the MTD MFG app. It's available from all the usual places, whether you're Apple or Android. So yeah, there's exclusive content on that on the app. So please go and download it. But back on with the news, we've got plenty to go through. Komatsu, they're launching a large recruitment drive in the Northeast.
Yeah, back in the Northeast, the company is creating almost 100 new jobs, and apprenticeship is at its Berkeley plant in County Durham. Komatsu is the world's second largest construction and mining equipment manufacturer, expanding the Northeast workforce, ramping up production, and this is to meet increasing domestic and international demand. Bit of history, Komatsu UK has delivered excavators since starting the plant in 1987, starting up with a 250 strong workforce. And the Japanese aim for fundamental really in helping create new industry in the Northeast that's centered around automotive and construction equipment manufacturing.
Yeah, massive company. I used to go back there when I had a real job. Yeah, big company. And the green light for Kite Packaging's new 50 million HQ here in Coventry, or in the UK in Coventry.
Yeah, huge investment. So plans submitted by the firm to build a new £50 million headquarters in Warwick have been approved. It's been founded in 2001. Kite Packaging has quickly become one of the largest packaging suppliers in the UK with 7 regional distribution centres. This facility, which is at Anstey Park, is situated with quite a few prominent industry forerunners, including Magna and Rolls-Royce. 300,000 square feet of logistics, 26,000 square feet of head office building, and it's likely to be one of the largest new builds in the region next year. And this move has been prompted by the urgency for more space to fulfill the accelerating demand for the firm's packaging product.
Yeah, like you say, huge facility. I know that area pretty well, and it's next to some huge companies. So good place for their new HQ. The next one, Winterbotham Darby, they opened a new facility in Bedfordshire. What do you know about this one?
Yeah, we've got a few details on this, not too many. New production facilities to say this is in Milton Keynes, and this will considerably enhance the firm's manufacturing capacity. Plant-based squeaky bean products will be made at the 48,000 square foot facility, and this is its second UK factory dedicated to that brand. More than 100 jobs have been created by the investment, This is all part of the UK's growing plant-based economy.
And we're finishing on one of my favourite stories of the week, Airbus. We talked about orders for for aeroplane manufacturers a couple of weeks ago, and tell us about this latest Airbus one. Fantastic news.
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on aerospace a couple of times, and orders are coming through. So I think this is the third or fourth week now with there have been orders for Airbus, and so Delta Airlines, the US carrier, had ordered an additional 30 Airbus A321 neo aircraft, and this is to help meet the airline's fleet requirement. This is in addition to the airline's existing orders for 125 at the same time, bringing the outstanding orders from Delta to a total of 155 aircraft. So great news for the aerospace industry, and primarily very good news for Airbus's Broughton wing assembly plant.
Absolutely. How many planes was that, did you say?
155 in total, and this new order is for 30 aircraft.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, that brings the end to this week's podcast. Like I've said previously, we don't get time to cover everything on this podcast. Go to the website mtdmfg.com, where there's a whole host of manufacturing stories uploaded every day. Like I say, there's ones we haven't covered this week, so please do go and take a look. The MTD MFG app is available on pretty much every app platform, whether you're Android or Apple, so please download that for exclusive content. A big thank you to you, Stuart. Thank you to James Fudge of the MTA, but as always, the biggest thank you goes to you at home for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Great British Manufacturing Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and a review. You can find us on Twitter using @MTDMFG and @Jefferson_MFG.